Welcome to Spookfest 2017 here at Pettis in Sedalia, Missouri. Let's give a big round of applause for everybody in the house. Without further ado, let's bring in our next ghostly companion from Warrensburg. Let's give it up for Mark Pearce.
Who says I'm wearing anything? That is spooky. I've only got one piece that's specifically written about Halloween, so much of what I present tonight is about death or fear, dismemberment, or just yucky stuff. And this one comes out of the history books from Scotland, and it's called Deacon Brodie. There hangs a William Brodie, finest man that ever was, swinging by the bridge at Tolbooth, a fitting scaffold, rope and hood. Sworn as deacon of cabinetry and a builder of our town. But at night, he's another story, and that's why we took him down. He would enter home and business as we welcomed of his craft, to make tables, drawers, and doorways, our abodes well built to last. There he'd tinker with the lockaways, and wax mold every key. And when his mistresses got hungry, he'd return at night to thieve. He burgled banks and registries. He burgled homes and church. And when his wagers went askew, he planned to do much worse by building up a guild, you see, of such uncommon thieves that neighbors would ne'er respect, but only one of these. That one, John Brown, a highwayman, felt the pressure of his deeds, and he sought the good king's pardon as he groveled from his knees. And his questioning and answering continued for a fort. The name of William Brodie came to attention of the court. But William had escaped away. To America he was bound. We captured him in Amsterdam before his fare was found. We brought him home to Edinburgh in shackles and in brace, and held him in our prisonry, where we looked him in the face. And so the master carpenter, adjudged of evil deed, was sentenced for his twilight life, in spite of his sorry plead. And as he climbed the scaffold, his hand flowing up the rail, he noted every stairboard, each support post, joint and nail. Some say he beat the lethal noose, fashioning a collar lined with steel, and he amply bribed the hangman to make his death look real. Why, some of you may know the Deacon Brodie. Now, today, Robert Lewis transformed his likeness. He's Dr. Jekyll now, so they say. Oh, I got sound effects. Woo-hoo! Here's a little thing called Spiny Little Thing. There's a spiny little gossamer creeping toward your bed. When the sun sets in the ocean, it will climb upon your head to perform strange permutations, turning green then yellow red, and you'll wake up with no illusions, just a pendant made of lead. Thank you. Spiny little gossamer. Back in 1979, I worked at a little radio station in Tarkio, Missouri that was a cinder block building, and worked there for about 9 months, but it was a very stormy spring and summer and into the fall. A number of tornadoes came through that part of northwest Missouri, and we had really built up a reputation for following the scanners and really being able to identify where the funnels were, and really doing a great job of helping to save some people's lives. So we were feeling pretty cocky. And so we had a storm system set up, and very unusual, we actually had a tornado cell and a tornado spotted that was moving from like north to south, and that just doesn't happen, and it did that particular time. And so I was on the radio station announcing, and we started getting spotters reports, and a spotters report came in near Tarkio, Missouri, that said that there was a tornado sighted at the Charles Whited Farm. And so I announced that on the radio, and then the lights went out, and then the roof started caving in, and so anyway, I was actually in a tornado. And being a cinder block building, it took off the top 2 or 3 layers of cinder blocks and pushed them in, and the roof caved in, but we were all okay. But after going through that, I really learned something about myself. You know, when you're in the middle of a disaster like that, something that's sudden, you don't have time to be afraid or fear. You just kind of react, and you know, things happen. But after the tornado had passed and the adrenaline is surging through your system, you can hardly stand up, because you know, it's just like the fear and the adrenaline and everything just really take it out of you. And so you sit down and just try to catch your breath and realize what's happening. So that's kind of my background, and probably led me to write this next piece in response to the earthquake that hit Haiti in 2010. And I got to thinking about all those thousands and thousands and thousands of people in Haiti just virtually destroyed, and people didn't get into buildings and sleep inside homes for a year or 2 or 3 after that. You know, they were all afraid to go into homes just because of the aftershocks. And so this little piece is called Trust in Shaken, in response to the earthquakes in Haiti back in 2010. Rumbles and shakes. Rumbles and shakes. It's not just the buildings, but the world that breaks, the lives that change, the friends that go, and the serenity and silence we will no longer know. Thank you. And one more for my set here. It's called The Visit. November 29, 2001. I remember that night. It was my 15th wedding anniversary. He sat there in the hall in a simple plastic chair. Another man who looked a lot like Eric Clapton sat beside him. Both were dressed in green surgical scrubs. The two were engaged in pleasant conversation, admiring a painting at the end of the hall. It was a work that I had painted and lost many years prior. Lost to me, but I saw it again that night. On a gradient field of yellow and orange, an aquamarine Rorschach-like blot, suggestive of a horse, its 4 legs tapering into foreshortened nothingness. The two men liked the painting, aggressively liked it, congratulated me on it, in fact, giving me a new enthusiasm for my art. That night I felt very pleased and proud. I woke up to the news that George Harrison had died the previous evening. It was so nice of him to have stopped by. Thank you.